guys would not believe me.
Across social media, tourists are complaining of what's being called the Las Vegas price gouge. This coffee?
It looks pretty, but this costs $28. This should literally be illegal.
This woman can't believe the cost of breakfast.
How is that $100?
And this dude says stay away from the hotel minibar.
That's not a lot of potato chips. Those boxes are 12 bucks a piece.
These ladies are in shock.
We just paid $50 for a salad. Yeah, it's absurd.
This tourist has had enough.
We paid 20 bucks for a Coke.
This June, tourism was down in Las Vegas by a whopping 11.3% from the previous year. This week, we found lots of empty casino tables and not a very crowded Las Vegas Strip. Is Las Vegas in a slump right now?
Definitely in a slump, and people aren't sure if they should be spending their money right now. But the rest of it is got to be attributed to what we call the Vegas gouge. And I mean, you know, after the pandemic, prices were raised, fees were put in, you know, they were gouging, and the public's kind of had enough of it.
CEO of the Plaza Hotel and Casino in downtown Las Vegas says if there's a great deal, tourists will still come. His hotel offers an all-inclusive package.
Vegas is not dead.
What are you talking about? It is dead, and it continues to die. How many times do I have to make videos about this? These Las Vegas news companies keep trying to convince us that everything is okay, and they're not. Granted, they'll admit numbers are down, because even a blind man can tell that, but they keep talking as if it's just a temporary thing. It's not. If the draconian resort fees, which used to not exist, by the way, as well as the price gouging behaviors like parking fees, also something that used to not exist, continue to be peddled by the corporate cronies that run Vegas, then the drop in tourism will absolutely continue. But these corporations, literally just two of them, by the way, that basically own the entire strip, don't care. Because they're still making more money despite lower overall tourism. As long as they keep the high rollers coming in and tighten their machines for less payouts, add on fees everywhere, those high rollers and upper-class tourists will still pay them, even if it drives normal, everyday working-class people and families out. The last guy in the clip, his casino is off the strip, and yes, in those places, the numbers are up. People are sick and tired of being price gouged by the chain of casinos owned by the two megacorps, so they found alternatives. Good for them! But the thing most people don't talk about is that even if downtown casinos are better than those on the strip, most of them still have these draconian fees that used to not exist before. It's all a trickle-down effect. Whatever the strip casinos do and succeed at, the other casinos follow in some way. So those places still aren't as great as they could be, and certainly aren't as great as they once were. This negative trickle-down effect hurts everyone, including locals who work in the industry. Take a listen to this poor guy and how his life and his goals are being negatively affected from all of the deceitful practices driving away tourists from the strip.
And we've been talking about the visitor volume being way down this summer, and now we're hearing from workers who are struggling to make ends meet. News 3's Andrew Nomura just spoke with a hospitality industry worker here locally. And so, Andrew, it's not just the data we have in hand that shows the decline in visitor volume, but now we also have pocketbooks that are a lot lighter than they were last summer at this time.
Yeah, that's right, Kim, including Sebastian Espinoza. We got a chance to talk to him. He works as a busser for Caesars in an on-call basis, and he says when things are good, his phone is ringing off the hook, but this year, not so much, which has put a severe damper on his personal goals.
My girlfriend, I was planning on starting a family next year, buying the house, getting the American dream that everyone wants a piece of, right? But is that a wise decision now when I see half my money gone, the money I saved? Should I get a mortgage now? So, you know, I wouldn't say my life is halted, but it's taking a big hit.
And Espinoza says that it's actually been extremely hard to find a job these days if he's looking to make a change, even though he has more than a decade's worth of experience in the hospitality industry. And his peers has seen a decline in foot traffic as well here on the Strip, especially in the nighttime hours when things typically ramp up and That's pretty alarming. This follows the Harry Reid's reports in the LVCVA on Tuesday, showing a near 20% decline in visitors coming from Canada, which is really important. 20% of visitors here in Las Vegas are international. The lion's share of those visitors coming from our friends up north, but tourism officials believe that this slump is only temporary.
That's a long-term relationship, and we're going to figure that out. I'm actually going on a trade mission, sales mission to Canada in just a couple of weeks. We've had crises, and we have recovered from crises. And this is just not that. It is a downturn. And we've got a great lineup of trade shows and group meetings in the fall. We've got a great lineup of sporting events and of entertainment. And Las Vegas knows how to recover.
Things are so bad, they're sending traveling salesmen to try to bring people back to Vegas. Absurd! I've never heard of anything like this. Vegas used to do all of the selling on its own. It was so great, so much fun for everybody, from singles looking to de-stress and just gamble, party, and have fun, to couples looking for a weekend getaway, to families with kids able to each have experience entertaining things fitting their own age. Like I stated earlier, if they don't go down to the root of the problem, aka making things better for everyday working class people instead of focusing just on high rollers and rich foreign tourists, as shown as literally flying people out to go convince them to come back, things won't change. I've made it my mission to remind people how bad Vegas is now and how great it really used to be. We need to keep this topic going in order to bring the old Vegas back that we love. I'm not here to convince you to come back to Vegas to support the people and workforce, although it pains me that they're struggling, but for the greater good, for all of us to enjoy Vegas again, in order to get rid of corporate greed destroying our beloved desert oasis, we need to make a stand. At the very least, for now, keeping the conversation alive about how we want the old Vegas back. I have a few more stories today, both from frequent visitors and employees who have all been around Vegas for decades, so they can tell you firsthand their experience of how Vegas used to be versus how it is now. Don't ever forget how great Vegas was, because if you forget, we'll never be able to bring it back. Keep that in mind while listening to these stories. With that said, let's start with story number 1.
$39 rooms, $2 shrimp cocktails. I've been coming to Vegas for over 30 years. The first time I visited, I was 21 and broke, staying at the Old Sahara. My room was $39 a night, and that included free parking, no resort fee, and coupons for $2 shrimp cocktails at the coffee shop downstairs. I'll never forget that first night. We checked in, dropped our bags, and walked straight to the Strip. The sidewalks were packed with people holding yard-long margaritas. Street performers were everywhere, not fenced into zones like now. You could wander into any casino, and nobody cared if you weren't gambling right away. We'd sit down at a nickel slot machine, and the cocktail waitress would swing by every 15 minutes with free drinks. Didn't matter if you were betting a dime or a dollar. You tipped her $1 and she kept you hydrated. Meals were dirt cheap. You could hit a $4.99 prime rib special at one place, walk a block, and find a $1.99 breakfast deal at another. And the shows? Half the time you could snag free tickets just for playing at the tables for a couple hours. Fast forward to my last trip, I stayed at a strip resort that charged $199 a night plus a $45 a day resort fee. Parking was $25 a day. By the time I got to my room, I'd spent more than my entire budget from my first trip just on fees. I went downstairs, found a bar, and asked for a gin and tonic. The bartender said, "That'll be $18. 18 for gin and tonic." And no, it wasn't free even when I played. Apparently, you have to earn enough points now before the drink comps kick in. The nickel slots are gone. The $2 shrimp cocktails are gone. The only specials are $99 surf and turf at celebrity chef restaurants. And while the lights are still bright and the fountains still dance, I can't help but feel like the soul of Vegas, that mix of cheap thrills and wild generosity, has been replaced by a calculator.
The $1.99 steak that fed a city.
In the early 2000s, I had a ritual every time I came to Vegas. The $1.99 steak and eggs at the little coffee shop tucked inside my favorite downtown casino. It wasn't just the price, though, yeah, that was insane. It was the whole atmosphere. You'd walk in at 3 a.m. after a night of blackjack, and the place would be buzzing. A table of locals in work shirts, a group of college kids splitting a mountain of pancakes, and a cocktail waitress still in uniform grabbing a late-night bite before heading home. The steak wasn't some thin, sad piece of meat either. It was cooked to order, juicy, with a side of eggs and hash browns that could soak up a gallon of tequila from your system. And because it was Vegas, the waitress would bring you a Bloody Mary for $1 more. No questions asked. That meal felt like the city's way of saying, "We got you." Win or lose, drunk or sober, rich or broke, you could eat like a king for pocket change. Fast forward to now, the same casino has remodeled into something sleek and sterile. That coffee shop? Gone. In its place is a gourmet dining experience with minimalist decor and a menu that looks like a wine list. A basic breakfast now runs you $27 without coffee. The crowd has changed too. Nobody lingers anymore. They eat fast, snap a photo for social media, and vanish. The waitstaff doesn't joke with you because they're swamped, covering too many tables. There's no late-night chaos, no mingling of high rollers and graveyard shift workers. I tried the $27 breakfast once, just for nostalgia's sake. The eggs were fine. The hash browns were fine. But as I ate, I realized it wasn't about the food. It was about the feeling. Back then, a $1.99 steak made you believe this city was on your side. Now every bite just reminds you of the bill.
When parking was free and laughter was everywhere. I started as a valet on the Strip in 2005, back when parking was free and tips were good enough to cover my rent. It was the best front row seat in Vegas. Every car, every guest, every story started and ended with us. I remember the Friday nights most. The line of cars would stretch around the block. Convertibles with the top down, blasting music. Families in rental vans from the airport. The occasional Lamborghini pulling up like it owned the street. The guests would step out grinning, ready to take on the night. And because parking didn't cost them a dime, they tipped without hesitation. We got to know the regulars. There was this guy from Texas who came every month in his cherry red Corvette. He'd toss me the keys with a wink and say, "Don't scratch her, son," then hand me a $20 before disappearing inside. And when their trip was over, people would be laughing as we pulled their cars around, telling stories about the jackpots they hit or the crazy things they saw. Then came the paid parking. Management said it was industry standard and necessary for improvements, but we all knew what it really was, a cash grab. Suddenly, guests were grumbling before they even set foot inside the casino. That $25 a day fee soured their mood, and they tipped less, if at all. Now, the lot is half empty some nights. Locals stopped coming because they refused to pay to park at a place they used to visit for free. Out-of-towners Uber in, so we don't even see them. The front drive feels dead. No music from the cars, no jokes with the regulars, just a row of valets waiting for someone to show up. Vegas used to roll out a red carpet the moment you arrived. Now it feels like the meter starts running before you've even locked your car.
The $5 buffet that kept me coming back. Back in the 90s, I was 20-something years old and broke, like checking under the car seat for quarters broke. My buddies and I saved up all year for one long weekend in Vegas, and when I say saved up, I mean we had maybe $300 each for the entire trip, gambling money included. We stayed at the Sahara for $39 a night. The room wasn't fancy, 2 double beds, a little TV with bad reception, and a view of the parking garage. But we didn't care. The magic was downstairs. On our first morning, we wandered into the hotel's coffee shop for breakfast and saw the magic words, "All-you-can-eat breakfast buffet, $5.99. $6 got you pancakes, bacon, eggs, fruit, and coffee so strong it could rewire your brain." And the best part? They didn't care if you sat there for 2 hours nursing your hangover.
That buffet became the anchor of our trip. We'd stumble in after late nights, eat until we couldn't move, then roll over to the $5 blackjack tables where the dealer would actually joke with you and let you take your time. Fast forward to last year, I went back to Vegas with my wife, hoping to recreate that memory. The Sahara's gone. We stayed at a strip property, $189 a night, plus a $45 resort fee that didn't actually get us anything. The breakfast buffet, $38 per person, coffee not included. We went once, out of nostalgia. The pancakes were fine, but the vibe was gone. The staff was rushing people through, the coffee was artisan, but tasted like burnt dirt, and the couple next to us whispered about how they'd already blown $500 on slots before breakfast. In the old days, that $6 buffet made you feel like Vegas wanted you there. Now it feels like Vegas is looking for every excuse to reach into your pocket before you've even had your first cup of coffee.
The friendly dealer who knew your name. I started dealing blackjack in the late 90s, back when every night on the casino floor felt like a party. My first job was at the Stardust. God, I miss that place. Even before my shift, I'd walk through the floor just to soak it in. The ding-ding-ding of the slots, the laughter from the craps tables, the smell of prime rib from the $4.99 special drifting in from the coffee shop. When I tell people I knew my regulars by name, they think I'm exaggerating. I'm not. I had guys from Chicago who'd come every February for the rodeo, a retired couple from Phoenix who played my table every Easter, and a group of Navy buddies who never missed Memorial Day weekend. I knew their favorite drinks, whether they liked their cards pitched high or low, even which ones had Lucky Charms they kept hidden in their pockets. If you sat at my table for a few hours and treated me with respect, I'd quietly slide a comp slip your way. Sometimes it was for a steak dinner at the coffee shop, sometimes it was for a lounge show, the kind where you could just wander in with your drink and sit close enough to see the sweat on the singer's forehead. It didn't matter if you were betting $10 a hand or $100. The goal was to make you feel like Vegas wanted you there. We had time to chat between hands. I'd lean in and tell you about the guy on table 4 who just turned $100 into $8,000, or I'd point out the cocktail waitress carrying a drink as big as a baseball bat for some bachelor party guy who was already dancing on the carpet. The bosses would walk by and give you a smile. It wasn't about rushing you, it was about making sure you had fun. Now, I deal at a modernized strip property, and I swear it's like working in a factory. The pit bosses stand behind us with tablets, tracking our every move, hands per hour, mistakes, even how long it takes me to shuffle. If I slow down to talk, I get a look. If I joke too much, I get a warning. Comps? Forget it. Unless you're betting $50 a hand for hours, you're not getting so much as a free buffet voucher. And when I say buffet, I mean the $55 a head experience they now call a buffet. Players notice the difference. They come in, lose quick under the tighter rules, and leave. I'll go entire shifts without a single person cracking a smile at the table. Vegas used to feel like an escape. Now it feels like a bill you're paying in real time. The lounge singer who made you feel like a high roller. I worked as a cocktail server at the Riviera in the early 90s, and my favorite part of the job wasn't even the tips. It was the lounge. Every night, after my shift on the main floor, I'd wander into the Riviera Lounge with my tray, serving drinks to a crowd that was half locals, half tourists who'd stumbled in looking for something cheap and fun. There was no cover charge. You could buy a $3 gin and tonic and sit 5 feet from a live band that was actually good. There was this one lounge singer, Joey Martino, slick back hair, a tux that was probably older than me, and a voice that made you believe he'd broken 100 hearts. Between songs, he'd talk to the crowd, crack jokes, dedicate My Way to the guy in the back celebrating his divorce. We'd get big gamblers in there sometimes, guys with $10,000 chips in their pockets. But in that room, everyone felt like a high roller. You could be a school teacher from Iowa, sipping your drink slow, and Joey would wink at you like you were the most important person in the place. Now, the lounge is gone. The whole building's gone. If you want live music on the strip, you're looking at $75 tickets plus fees. Or you're standing in a nightclub with music so loud you can't hear yourself think.
the soul of it, that feeling that you could just wander into a place, spend a few bucks, and be treated like a VIP. It's not there anymore. Vegas used to be about making memories. Now it feels like it's about making receipts.
The Showgirls glittering past and present. I was 21 when I first stepped onto a Las Vegas stage in full costume. Back then, being a showgirl wasn't just a job, it was the pinnacle of glamour. The lights, the feathers, the music. We were the face of the city. People would stop us in the lobby to take photos, even when we weren't in costume. And the best part? The shows were everywhere. You could wander into a showroom after dinner and for $25 watch a full production that rivaled Broadway. When I think of Vegas then, I remember the little moments behind the curtain. The makeup mirrors with bare light bulbs, the scent of hairspray so thick it could choke you, the nervous energy as the band started warming up. And when those stage lights hit, it felt like the whole world disappeared except for the music and the faces smiling back at you. After the show, we'd mingle with guests in the lounge. Couples in their 60s would tell me it was their 40th anniversary and that our show was the highlight of their trip. Groups of girlfriends would come in wearing matching feather boas, tipsy from $2 margaritas they'd bought at the casino bar. Nobody cared if you weren't rich, you could still feel like a high roller for a night. Now, the big production shows are all but gone unless they're tied to a giant corporate brand. You don't just wander in anymore, you book months ahead, pay $200 a ticket, and sit next to someone watching the whole thing through their phone. The intimacy is gone, the fun is gone. Even the costumes, those handmade, rhinestone-covered works of art, have been replaced by cheaper, mass-produced outfits designed to survive Instagram rather than dazzle in person. And the guests, they're stressed. They've spent thousands before they even see the stage. $500 on a hotel room, $60 on parking for the weekend, $100 on a couple of cocktails in the lobby bar. When I walk past the theaters now, I see people checking their watches more than they're watching the stage. I will always treasure my time as a showgirl. But when people ask me if I'd want to do it today, I just smile and say it wouldn't be the same because it wouldn't. Vegas once sparkled for everyone. Now, it only sparkles for those who can afford the cover charge.
That's all I have for you today, folks. It's hard not to get a bit emotional while making these videos. Vegas used to be so great, and now it's a shell of what it used to be. We need to talk about the good old days of Vegas more than ever, and more specifically, constantly comparing them to how it is today. We can only bring back our great city again if we keep the memory of its glory days alive. Maybe it's naive of me, but I still believe we can bring it back someday if we continue to make our voices heard. Feel free to share your stories of how Vegas used to be for you versus how it was the last time you went, assuming you've been there recently. I'd love to hear your perspective. Thanks for watching. Let's vote with our dollars to bring Vegas back to what it was once again. This video was a bit depressing, so watch this video on the screen next to hear some of the great things that happened in Vegas during its golden years.